All right.
Am I loud enough?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I can't handle another ounce of you.
it's it's a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to Ghosts, I guess, where two Canadian ladies get together to talk about weird supernatural shit that doesn't seem to have a place in normal conversation. We talk about our own experiences, invite other guests to share theirs, and at the end of every episode, we will discuss how much our conversation and stories convinced us, or didn't, to believe in the paranormal. So, do we believe in ghosts? Hard to say, but please join us as we talk about it anyway. I don't know why I feel compelled to make random maniac noises after that.
I had to hold back what we usually do, the song that we reference every time. Like I want to do it. I want to do it every time.
I'm compelled to do it. We can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm just so compelled.
Whoever is responsible for that song, I just hummed it under your breath. I feel like I don't actually, as someone who loves music, I feel ashamed to say that I don't know who sings that song. Somebody from the 50s would be my guess. In any case, their estate or they will come after us and want money. And to the listeners out there,
because they're dead.
Yeah. To the listeners out there, there's no money for them to take. Not yet. We have to tread very lightly.
They can steal some of my groceries, which is like gold in my house right now.
How many pine nuts do you have?
You know what? I got a bag. I got a bag of pine nuts in the fridge. I balled out.
I had Watt calling me. I literally just talked to her. Like before we started this, I just talked to her. And here she is calling me again.
Who is this? Oh, okay. So now I have to buzz this out.
No. Well, you could just buzz out the last name, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So just I want to bring it up just briefly. Like I don't want to get carried away here, but Harley drew my attention. Now we've released our first 4 episodes, which we can discuss a little bit, but that means that my partner was listening to it. And she mentioned that I often bring up her and Nim, but never Precious, who is my other dog.
Oh, that's so rude. Yeah. Precious is a tiny gem.
She's with me right now. She's literally lying by my feet.
Well, now we've mentioned Precious.
Yes. And Colleen is the old woman who I co-parent Precious with. And she's a piece of work. I would not recommend co-parenting with an older woman who is of the QAnon variety and who wears a support Donald Trump pin.
Oh no.
Very recently, she wants me to we had Precious get some tooth surgery, blah, 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 blah. They have to do blood work before she goes into surgery. They realize there's something off about like her liver enzymes, but they weren't super concerned. They're like, maybe get it checked out later. Well, since then, that has been like a little worm eating Colleen's brain. And so now she's all about alternative medicine, which is interesting because it seems like that's more left leaning, but she wants me to give Precious milk thistle for her liver.
What does she want to give you? What?
Milk thistle. It's
maybe
crops.
Milk thistle.
Milk thistle. And she's like, if I buy it, will you give it to her? And I'm like, sure, I'll do it. But doesn't want me to give her just like that, standard tick and heartworm medicine. That's poison. But some random thing that she read on the internet. Anyways, that's just part of my daily life stressors. Precious herself is the most cutest little dog. Maybe we'll put a little picture of her on social media for those who want to see what she looks like.
Write it down, please, so that I am reminded that this one is going to be about Precious.
This episode is called Precious.
Do you believe in Precious? Shit.
We went over this. it.
They're coming for us. Okay, so this is a quick episode for us. This is a real quick one, and it's a bit different for us,
Yeah.
where we are going to do a review of my experience visiting Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm excited about it.
I'm excited about it.
Super excited about it. And we talk about Zach quite a bit, don't we? Like I never anticipated he would come up in every episode.
My favorite is that I didn't know him by name. And and when you first brought him up, I was like, how interesting. And then I like unrelated went to tell you a story about this man who often seems like he's under the substance of cocaine. And I go to look him up and lo and behold, same guy. And when I made that realization, man.
Synchronicities. Yeah. Should we do our psychic test first?
Sure. Let's do it.
Everyone, are you ready to do a psychic test?
I wonder how successful people have been when they've been trying to do this with us.
They have to tell us if they're doing well. They have to send us a picture of their own drawing. And I encourage you, if you're just tuning in, this is where I'm going to pull up a picture from Google and Rachel's going to receive it telepathically.
Yeah, it's my turn to draw. So I'm so sorry for all those that we'll have to take a look at what I've drawn and try to understand what it is.
Hey, I'm just looking for an image now that appeals to me. Oh, I like this. Okay.
Can I ask a side question?
You go right ahead.
Do you, when I do this and I'm the one that's selecting the picture, I have like not even a little bit decided what I'm going to do. Like just in the moment, I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yes, I just did that right now. Yes.
Okay, because you see Danielle went and looked at like a bunch of just images. Like she searched like random images.
Here's the problem with that. Then you risk sending. I'm a professional, right? So I know. Then you risk sending, like crossing your wires with images, because clearly you started drawing something that she was looking at from another picture. Remember?
Yeah. It's important for me not to open myself up.
Yeah.
Soon. I think that's also part of the trouble. So
I just pulled an image of the first thing that came to my head.
Okay.
You know?
Yep. Okay. I feel like I'm getting something.
You feel like you're getting something. That's great.
I'm getting something.
Take your time with it. I can edit out any big long gaps, but I'm going to focus on this. And get your whiteboard open, because here we go. Let me see if I can give you, just please describe as you're drawing.
Yes. Yeah. I have a fear that the first couple ones that we recorded, I feel like there wasn't a lot of chatting and I was worried that we may have lost a listener. So we're going to do better to explain what's happening, describe what we're drawing, so that it doesn't just feel like boring for you or confusion, just a bunch of confusion. So anyways, let me just receive what you're sending. Send it my way. First, what I saw was
what are you drawing?
What I am drawing, it's a foot. That's the very first thing I saw, was just like a nice foot with like painted nicely. But then that's the first thing that came to me when I said, oh, I think I'm getting something. And then when I said, send to me or like, what's it called? Send out, the word I'm looking for. When I asked you to do that again, then what came to me was, and this is going to be harder to draw, was like same idea, only it's hands with pretty nails. And they're sort of like crossed over, like when you go into a nail salon, or if you follow their social media and they're taking like one of those sort of fancy pictures of the nails.
You're doing a great job of drawing this. I can't wait to post it.
It does look a little bit like what I'm actually What's kind of funny here is that for the listeners, one of the arms is rather thick, wide, and the other one's thinner. So it gives the appearance that there's a stranger putting their hand over another person's hand. Just to be clear, what I'm trying to convey is that it's the same person putting their hands out like in sort of a fancy manner off their fancy nails. Let me see if I can pick up anything. Those are the things that came to me very vividly. Colors that I'm seeing, I see like a light pastel blue and pink. Maybe I better do text here. Light pastel blue and pink. Now I'm getting like a stool, like a 3-legged stool. And by stool, I mean the one that you sit on, not the stuff that comes out of your butt.
Yeah, I was picturing a 3-legged poop. I'm sure I've had one of those.
This looks like a penis now, but it's a stool. Okay, those are the things that came to me. The pastel blue and pink were more associated or connected with like the hands, the fancy hands and toes. The stool came completely separately, not connected with those colors.
Okay.
Before you show me, I kind of like this being a thing that we do now, where you kind of like, you don't say if I got anything correct. It's more like an assessment prior to showing the photo of, yeah. So give me that assessment.
So you want me to assess prior to showing?
Yeah. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Your colors were like spot on.
Okay. Nice.
Everything else was insane. Colors were spot on in such a way that I would give you 4.5 or 5.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I'm just going to show everyone.
Oh my God, those are the exact colors.
And they're pretty strong. So what we're looking at is a plate full of donuts. The donuts are only like pastel blue and pink, and they have sprinkles on them, but it's just like a very intense picture of light blue and pink. Again,
like it's a bit of a stretch, but because it's not, but the circle top part of like the stool, like circles, obviously the donuts are
interesting.
So some of the image shapes, I should say, came through.
Yeah.
My feet and hands were, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty sure you said you were going to go get a pedicure today. So like, maybe,
that's why I thought that you were drawing it.
Yeah. Well, I was like, like maybe that was somewhere in your brain. So like that did transmit. And I was like, seems like a bit on the nose to like, choose that as a picture, but it's fresh in her mind. So maybe.
That's crazy. I can't wait to post this one. It's pretty close. What I find consistently is we're getting colors that are coming across. And it's not like you're really good at getting the colors, because I remember the one I had, you had yellow, blue, and purple or something in like the exact order that it was on my. Right. So like you're pretty good at picking up those colors. And it's not like you're throwing out like orange, purple, pink, blue. Like you're only saying the colors that I'm primarily seeing here.
Yeah, like I didn't have to say pastel blue and pink. I could have just been like, I see blues and pinks. But like to me, it was very much pastel.
Yeah. Interesting.
So you give me a 4.5. My first high score.
Edging on a 5.
Edging. Sexy.
Edging. Okay.
Listen, I kind of like, I didn't want to go on this rant when we were just opening up the whiteboard, but let me just have my soapbox. As I get older, I feel the intuitiveness of technology, it's just not there anymore. I feel like they got like people to come in and make updates to things that from just like a knowing where to intuitively go and like understand how it's just that, or I'm just getting like, it could just be straight up, I'm old. And it's got me at a crossroads, because when I was a kid, the fact that my parents were so just overwhelmed with technology, or just like they just couldn't even, they didn't understand it. And just like if you go even just pass that into like grandparents' age, they don't understand things like social media. So like I never quite understood, like it's pretty simple, guys. Like why is it so difficult? And now I'm at this crossroads where everything seems difficult when it comes to technology. What's that about?
I don't know. And I can usually troubleshoot, and I can't troubleshoot anymore. I lost all the contacts on my phone.
You haven't found them yet?
No, they're there. So if I open a text message and I write John, his contact pulls up, but it continues with just his phone number. So they're there. Yeah. I don't know. I can't get into it. I'd be talking about it for 4 hours.
But yeah, no, technology, man. Like it's like, it's that age-old adage, don't fix it if it ain't broken. You know what I mean? Like
you're old. Yep. That's exactly it.
It's exactly what an old person would say. But at the same time though, like it's like every time they update the software for an Apple phone, as an example, I'd say like 9 out of 10 times there's not much to change. But then sometimes on like a big change, and suddenly like where things are is in a different spot. And I usually catch on, but I'm just like, why? Why are you confusing people for no reason?
Why are you constantly making me learn and adapt and change? Hey, listen, I like what I like.
I play music. I learn songs. That keeps my brain active. I don't need to relearn the technology that I use on the day-to-day because some person wants to suddenly change it for no reason. It adds no benefit. This is what I'm saying. I'm getting crusty. I'm getting old and crusty.
Old and
not even a parent yet. My day.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. Damn kids.
I was going to talk about, I was at the hair salon and I was getting my hair done. Like as you do at a hair salon.
Today you did?
No, like a while ago, a couple of days ago. And I'm a nosy person at the hair salon. Mm-hmm. So I like listen to what other people are saying. And I could not help but notice that there were at least 2 other conversations going on in like the 4 hours that I was there. 2 separate conversations about ghost stories and ghost experiences.
Wow.
Plus what I was talking about with my hairstylist. And it was just kind of like,
people want it.
This is what women want. And it always,
and true crime, both of those things.
True crime. This is what women want. It always started the same. It was just like the girl would be in getting her hair done in the seat, and then she would like test the waters with the stylist, like throwing a little bit out, a teaser, if you will, just to see what her responses would be. And once she felt safe enough that the hairstylist was like, no, tell me more. I want to hear more. I'm into this.
Yeah.
Then they really get animated and into it. And like, it was exciting. I was like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. You can feel safe listening to our podcast and saying like, hey, no, I'm going to talk about my experience.
Yeah.
So I felt excited about that.
That is exciting. It doesn't surprise me. Like it is one of those things that is very compelling. So I can understand why people, once you kind of know that you're in that secret safe club, get really excited to tell your stories. One thing I don't want to just completely breeze over, part of what is, I would say, almost as scary as ghosts, is that it took you 4 hours to get your hair done.
I knew you were going to say that. You know what?
Tell me.
And it's a tight 4 hours. It's like she's rushing because I know it doesn't look like it. I have a lot of hair. It is thick, but fine. So I look like I have thin hair, but there's like, once you get into it, there's so much of it. And I also have like really dark hair and we have to like safely lift it.
Right.
I
do know because I also have very dark hair. But I'm not always blonde. So I don't know. It can still take quite a while when I go get my hair done, but
it's 4 hours and she's fucking hustling.
Oh my.
hustling. And when I used to schedule just for 3 hours, I'd be leaving with wet hair because like it just wasn't enough time. But anyway, so we're talking about Zach Bagans today.
Yeah.
Well, we're not talking about him. Let's talk a bit about him. We're going to review my experience going through his haunted mansion museum in
Las Vegas, right?
Las Vegas.
Can't sing the whole thing.
We can't. No. So going back, basically it was like right before COVID, and also probably COVID had been spreading in Vegas. Who knows? But
in Vegas, worldwide.
Yeah. It was before anyone like recognized it.
Right.
It was super spreading in conferences. So it was very late, like was that 2019, early 2020?
Yep.
My Mr. Pupper McDupper Nacho, he died. He passed away. My soulmate and Horcrux, if you will, he passed.
He was such a good boy.
He was just, he was a part of my soul, which, rough. And I didn't like, John and I didn't know how to navigate life in our house without him. And also, while we had him, he was a bionic boy. We just fed him medicines to keep him alive. It was a delicate balance, like Mr. Burns. And like it was impossible to go on little vacations in the last few years because like he was very needy. So John and I couldn't ever go anywhere together because it just wasn't worth coming back and whatever. He had lots of meds, medical attention, fainting spells common.
Oh my goodness.
When he saw me, he'd get too excited and his heart would give out and he would have a fainting spell. It was very sad. So when he did pass, we booked a last minute weekend trip to Las Vegas.
Right.
Just to get out of the house for a bit.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I had never been to Vegas before and John had. So it was like just what we needed. Right.
Yeah. I love Vegas.
I want to go back immediately. It is so much fun.
I keep trying to tell Carly, like, you will love it. She's like, oh, I don't know if it's my steez. I'm like,
I had the same things people said to me and I just didn't get it. And the only reason we went is because it was like a nice, easy trip. I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. Anyway, going into that trip to Vegas, I was especially obviously into the supernatural, paranormal things and like really seeking connection with the spirit worlds. Because of also some experiences that I had with Nacho, like right before. So it should come as no surprise that like I sought out spooky dooky things on our trip. And one thing I found, I literally just Googled it, was I probably Googled like ghost tour or something and Zach Bagans haunted museum came up. It was relatively cheap. Like I don't remember, but it was probably like $40. I don't know.
Oh, wow. In Vegas, that is, in Vegas, that's.
It was very cheap. It had some good reviews, but we didn't have super high hopes for it because like we have been on some pretty sus paranormal adventures in touristy places before where like it was so jacked up entertainment that it was almost embarrassing.
Right.
But anyway, like John said he would go because my heart was broken and he would give me whatever I wanted at that time.
Good.
We had no other plans, you know?
Yeah.
First and foremost, I will say, if you're in Vegas, you have got to go and see this for yourself. Okay. I'm putting that out there for listeners. If you're into ghosts at all or anything, you just got to go, like, put it into your plans. I'm recommending it to put it into your plans.
I also would like to someday in the nearest future, go back to Vegas, bring Carly. Maybe we could go with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then I can also experience it.
That'd be fun. I think you would enjoy it. So in this review, I don't want to give anything away that would take away from the experience of someone going for the first time. Okay.
Well, it's good because I've never been. So
yeah. And I don't want to take away from the experience. And it's also like I'm going to be conveniently selective because I don't remember very much. I was going through drama.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember some pretty impressionable things. But so first, who is Zach Bagans and how did he get into this?
I was actually going to ask, did you do some research on this man?
Very little research because I don't care that much. But like, I didn't know Zach Bagans before I booked this trip.
Mm-hmm.
I just Googled like haunted ghost things,
Right.
and it was just like Zach Bagans. And I was like, oh, I'll figure that out when I get there.
Right. You're like, is he a ghost?
Is he a ghost? But his name has come up quite a few times in the podcast, and not always in the most flattering ways. But what I learned in a nutshell is like, basically, he graduated from film school and met up. Yeah, he met up with some other dude to film documentaries, and he ended up creating the Ghost Adventures show.
Yes, which is how I'm familiar with him.
Yes, and it was a hit, and like boom, a legend was born. I find him to be like such an over-the-top character, and he even said, quote, "You're gonna love this." This is a quote from Zach Bagans
about himself,
about his excitement in the museum. Like he was talking about like collecting things.
I didn't realize how excited I'd be, but I'm like, tell me, what did he say?
He even said, and I quote, "This is an addiction for me." And yeah, man, no shit. Like as soon as I heard him say that, as soon as I heard him say that, I was like, okay, I'm putting that in.
Talking about ghosts or something else.
He was talking about like his collection of ghostly things, and I was like, okay, Rachel's gonna love this.
All right. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, okay. But like he's such a showman that I think he found like this niche in Hollywood, and like perhaps unpopular opinion if anyone does like him a lot, or I don't know, but like when I hear him talk, I don't think he actually believes in any of this. Like I think he's dedicated his life to supernatural paranormal. I don't think he actually believes in any of it. Like it doesn't, I feel like he's playing a part. I don't know. Do you think he's sincere? Does it matter? I don't know. Do you think he believes this stuff?
I will say I've only watched a handful of the episodes.
Okay.
And in a lot of the episodes, nothing really gets captured. Like there might be there might be like if they like crank up all the levels of something that they've recorded, they'll hear someone being like, "Get out." But like it won't even sound like that. It'll be like
it only sounds like that because
the
closed captions at the bottom say "get out," and it's just like, oh well, now I kind of hear it. Anyway, okay,
exactly. So that's to say that I feel like you can devote your whole life to going to those supposed haunted places, but like I feel like if you never actually capture anything, can I blame him if he doesn't really believe in it? But I will say that there have been episodes where he appears to be freaking out, but as we've said, it's always like way over the top. So when you say, is he playing a role? Like it wouldn't shock me. Like if he did like a tell-all years from now, or, you know, after doing it as long as he has, and he said, I just went in pretending I was someone who was like really impacted or
way into this.
I'd just be like, yep, that's not shocking to me.
Not a shocker. Okay. So in his addiction, Zach collects weird, in his singular addiction that he is committed to admitting. He collected weird and haunted memorabilia and purchased an old haunted mansion. By old haunted mansion, he's the only one saying it's haunted in like off the strip, Las Vegas. Like it's nowhere near the strip. It is not touristy.
But was it in old Las Vegas? Because that wouldn't surprise me if
that's
it was haunted.
So funny. That's so funny because I skipped that. It said in my notes here, it said in old Las Vegas, check on location, bold. And I never checked on the
Yeah.
location, but it's near that like zip line on that really cool street.
I never went to Las Vegas. Like when I went, I was there.
Oh my God, my favorite.
3 or 4. Yeah, I really, really regret not going. So I would like to go.
Oh my God. Oh my God, my favorite. Yeah. So this thing has turned into like, for something off of the strip, like not in a super touristy location, it has turned into one of the biggest attractions in Las Vegas.
Oh wow.
It has 7,000 visitors a month,
Holy shit.
which is insane to me. The best part though is that it does not feel like a massive tourist attraction, which like helps you get into the mood of it all.
Oh, that's
like,
good. Yeah, because like
yeah.
because it can't be spooky if it feels like too touristy, right?
Yeah, lights and shit everywhere.
So I just wanted to let the audience know, and for nerds that are out there like me, the banker and me immediately wanted to do the math on how much money that is a month that they're making. At approximately $40 to get in, which is what Kim estimated, 7,000 people a month is $280,000 a month.
That's how he pays for his Lambo, I bet. That
is $3.3 million a year.
Great. Okay.
So he's doing all right. Despite all the teasing, he's doing all right.
He's carved out a niche for himself. I like it. Good for him. Okay, so the location. It felt for us a bit off the beaten path in a rundown area, and like it reminded me of something you'd find in Niagara Falls on the Canada side in Clifton Hill, which, spoiler alert, is like totally my vibe.
You're talking like Ripley's Believe It or Not, stuff like that?
Yeah, but it didn't even look like that. It was just like, yeah. It was.
But is that the area you're talking about, Niagara Falls? Because it's been a little while since I've been there. Yeah. So I know exactly the vibe that you're talking about. I think if anyone had been there.
I was super pleasantly surprised by how off the beaten path it was. But also like when we pulled up, John and I, not knowing anything about this, we were like, are we about to get murdered? Like, is someone going to take a run for us and mug us or whatever? Like it was a little scary. But it didn't have a massive stream of people everywhere, which was great. It added to the spooky vibes. It made me feel like I was actually going to be walking through an old haunted mansion, which, spoiler alert, like again, I did. I did. So you buy your tickets, ideally in advance, and you line up for your showing outside. And you end up going through the tour with the group that you've lined up with. And before you go in, they set the tone by like making you sign a waiver.
Yeah, of course.
I have the waiver. Would you like me to read parts of it?
Of course I would.
I think that would be nice.
I also want to know, like, not to sidetrack here, but I kind of want to know, like, whatever you're going to cover off in this waiver, has anyone ever been harmed by a spirit that would warrant this waiver? Is my question. Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All guests must be at least 16 years old, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I understand that my participation and involvement in the Haunted Museum tour at 600 East Charleston Boulevard in Las Vegas, Nevada, may include, bold, spirit detection activity, interaction with spiritual and or unexplainable phenomenon, and or other unexplainable, unusual, or paranormal activities or interactions, which necessarily include certain risks, which may or may not be foreseeable. I acknowledge that the risks associated with the Haunted Museum tour could cause me, others around me, or third parties over whom I have no control, bodily injury, damage to property, emotional distress, death, or harm. That's part of it. So like they set the tone, right? And there's some guy out there talking to you and all these things.
I really want to Google. I'm holding back, but I'll do it after we're done recording and give you the information. You can put it on our social media. How many people have died from paranormal activity? At,
0, 100%. Yeah. They did mention like people having like
scratches and stuff,
heart attacks or something in there, but like,
oh, okay, well, listen,
people had heart attacks before.
not to blame the victim, but if you are, if you have a weak heart, prone to possibly having a heart attack, I would avoid anything that might startle you. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
just a
For sure.
thought.
Okay, so they take you through when you finally go in and describe a bit about Zach. There's actually like a full-size Zach robot in there that talks to you and it's insane and gives you the history of the house and why it was chosen for the museum. Rachel's losing her shit right now.
Why?
Yes.
Why does it have to be him?
Yes.
Well, okay, first of all, like, is it like an automaton?
It looks like him. Looks like him.
It's a robot, like C-3PO.
It's like a machine. From what I recall, it was like a full-size Zach Bagans behind glass, and it was like talking.
Oh, okay. That paints a different. I mean, it's still really funny and still really weird, but like that's changed now. Now, what I'm envisioning is: have you ever seen the movie Big?
No.
With Tom Hanks. Oh, it's so good. But anyways, there's how he ends up going from a small boy to a big boy is that he like, he makes a wish on this sort of like arcade, what looks like an arcade game, and he puts a coin in, and then it's like this weird moving, and that's weird. And so to me, now that's what I'm envisioning, it's less strange. I was thinking like a straight up like automaton robot, like C-3PO from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Do you know any of my references? Yeah, okay. So, but not all like gold. Like it looked like Zach Bagans.
Yeah. We should find a picture of it and we'll put it on our social media. Okay. Will you write that down for me?
Yeah. I have Precious picture. Zach Bagans robot.
We're gonna post a picture of Zach Bagans robot if we can find one. Mm-hmm. I do recall you weren't allowed to have photos in there, but there's some stuff online. So it gives you, like he sets the tone, and then they bring you into the space. And I recall, and you're with your group, I recall a general feeling that this place does have some spookiness to it.
Okay.
But it's also jacked up a bit for entertainment value.
Sure. That makes total sense.
Yeah. If you're into ghosts and relics and like haunted memorabilia and can look past the gimmicks, of which there are like quite a few, you will enjoy yourself for sure. And if you are, this is the fun part, if you're not at all a believer, I think there's a space for you there as well.
I actually just realized we didn't make a disclaimer. We're not like in any way being like paid to do this review.
I wish. This is like I went there like 3 years ago, and this is Zach sent me some dough.
This is not paid advertising for
it. And the reason we're doing this is I wanted a podcast review of this before we went, or like a YouTube, and I couldn't find a good one. So hopefully someone finds some joy out of this.
Can I ask? I just have a question. What did the house look like?
So I was gonna post some pictures. I don't know the era or anything like that.
That's okay.
Gothic.
Okay. How big? Like several floors?
I don't know. I don't recall, but it looked pretty massive.
Okay. And was it like well kept?
Outside, it looks old. It looks and feels like an old haunted mansion.
Okay.
Rich woods, like, yeah.
So they haven't like done anything, like even if you go inside, like they haven't, refinished anything. Like they've kind of tried to like maintain some.
They've moved some shit around to make it more like they have a touristy area where you can take pictures and like, I don't know. Yeah.
All right.
But it is spooky. It gives you the spooky feel. It like, you do feel like you're on the set of a scary movie. Yeah. Anyway, so they do have lots of entertainment value throughout, interesting stories, especially about how the items were like obtained. And the tour guides are very interesting. They like switch off throughout. You'll have a tour guide for like 2 or 3 rooms, and then you get another tour guide. I don't know why they did that. I found that very confusing, and they still do that, but I don't know why. Okay. It's probably for logistics and flow or whatever. And I think even if you're not into it, you just might find yourself in the right atmosphere to like let some spooky dooky stuff creep in. Who knows? This was important to know, they didn't have jump scares per se. So like, you're not going to go into a room and someone jumps out at you.
It's not a haunted house.
Yeah, it's
Like-
not a haunted house, but I have been to touristy ghost things before that turned into that, and I was like, get me out of here. I didn't sign
I
up for
hate
this.
that. I hate
Yeah. But they did have things that I found like largely unnecessary and way over the top gimmicky, including a little person
Okay.
running around smaller rooms through tiny doors that were created just for this shtick. And it was very uncomfortable and unnecessary, like circus type of display.
That
And it totally took away from the credibility of the museum. And I felt like it felt wrong. And
it feels borderline offensive.
It was offensive. But like, who am I to say it's offensive? Like, this person is doing this, but like, in the tone that it was set up almost like a jump scare. Like, this little person had nothing to do. There was no history about little people. There was no like, it was unrelated. It was just like this little person running through tiny doors. And I was like, wait, we're in 2020, right? Like, what's going on? I really didn't like it.
And it was supposed to give like a circus vibe. That's what they were trying to get at.
I got a circus vibe from it. Like one of those old circus type of like totally unnecessary vibes. Was he could do without it. It was totally unnecessary how this was handled. Didn't like it. The whole space inside was strategically like very dimly lit. It worked hard to create a spooky environment. Again, a nod to like the entertainment factor of it all. The tour was separated into a whole series of separate rooms, and I think there are 33 rooms.
Oh, wow. Okay,
if I recall correctly.
Then there must have been multiple floors. Back to that question.
There's at least two floors. Yeah, there's at least two floors, but I don't know more than that. And there's a basement. And then there's different themes and items stored in each room. Okay. So what I didn't particularly enjoy or wasn't so fond of was the excess they went to with some of the items in order to fit the space and like set the creepy tone. Like, I know they probably set rooms up with a bunch of like weird, creepy, unrelated dolls and antiques to set the tone. But for me, it took away from like the overall credibility of the place. Like,
that makes sense.
When someone is trying hard to creep me out, it takes away from that credibility.
Yeah. Because then it kind of, I think it's because then it does like, if you're going to feel creeped out, that has to come from a genuine organic place.
Yeah.
And if you feel like someone is putting it on for you, then you're not really going to feel, you're going to be like, oh, this is just a movie that I'm watching.
Yeah.
Not that movies can't be scary. They can, but you know what I mean?
And worst of all, like I was really convinced with some of this stuff, but found myself fighting through the entertainment pieces in order to try to connect with the real items.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, I have a couple quick questions. One, you mentioned that there is a feeling of it being creepy. How much of that, like when you, because we've talked about this before, when you walk into a space and you can feel an energy and you know, like how much of it was something like that and how much of it was like what was being created for the purpose of, I guess, this tour? I have a second question, but I forget what it is. It's gone. Go ahead. Maybe it'll come.
Anything created was too over the top. Anything created took me out of it.
Okay.
Anything, all the entertainment value stuff, like totally took me out of it. So an example of that is like a really unnecessary, like random doll. And then they had like very expensive and cool Ghostbuster memorabilia there. And it's, it was fine. Yeah. And I'm glad those things were separated, but like,
that actually is
without it.
Yeah. That leads into my second question. I remember what it is now. Like you keep talking about this like paraphernalia. Can you give me an example? Like you just said like a Ghostbuster figurine or something, which doesn't really, I don't know. I can kind of see why it's there. It's like there's a thin line that connects it, but like, can you give me like one example of another like type of paraphernalia they had to just have like something to like, so I cannot understand what you're looking at, like what you're seeing.
Okay, so I'll get to that.
Okay, sorry.
Some of the items that weren't haunted or spooky per se, but I found very interesting was there was one room with serial killer memorabilia.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. So you go in and you see like, I don't know if it was Ted Bundy or Dahmer, but they're the glasses.
Oh, Dahmer.
Yeah.
Ew,
There
that'd be
was
gross.
like actual paintings from Manson using his ashes and blood to make a painting of Manson. So like this stuff had like a dark history, but I wouldn't necessarily call it like the haunted stuff.
Right.
But I found it very interesting to go through and see. And like I personally felt like the weight of all the destruction that these men, because it's always a man, had done. Like you really go in. It's important for me that you don't get caught up in like the, ooh, look at this stuff. Like you do feel dark, and like you read a lot. I don't want to give too much away, but like you can read a lot about the crimes they've committed, and like, there was some gross stuff in there. There was in one room like a cauldron that another serial killer had like cooked bodies in, like the actual cauldron. So like some very unique real items in these rooms from like the serial killers.
Interesting.
But in those rooms I felt a sense of like just distraught from the destruction they created.
Yeah.
Even Zach Bagans talks a lot about how he put that room in a jail cell, like with bars and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like, I nod to him for this because he's like, he talks a lot about this isn't to glorify them.
Right.
This is to preserve, and to think about what they've done. So that was nice to hear him say, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a side note, but I watched probably 3/4 of Dahmer on Netflix or wherever it was on Netflix, wherever it was, might not have been Netflix. And I couldn't finish watching it. It was
no, I wouldn't.
It made me really, really sick. And I love true crime. And I was like, this is not.
It's unusual for me to not be able to watch. It was a few seconds, and I was like, I'm not going to do that because this stuff is real. That kid, like this really happened. I can't just watch this for entertainment value. Anyway, they had I don't want to give it all away, but like they had things like Kevorkian's death bus.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, so you go into a room, there's like a bus, and talk about like what Kevorkian did, and I would find myself, if I was a non-ghost believer, just spending a lot of time and reading about these things, and I was just like sitting in silence next to them. It was museum-esque in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, they'd shuffle your group into a room and then close the door behind you, and you'd have, if they could, and then they'd have a certain amount of time to listen to the stories, hear the tour guide, engage with the items before being shuffled back into the hallway, and then you go to the next room. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Some of the things that I found most interesting, other than the serial killer items, what was most compelling to me was video of things happening in the museum, in the mansion.
Oh.
Very interesting to me. So they have cameras going all the time. And when they capture something strange happening, they will play that as an exhibit in the museum.
Oh, that's cool.
Sometimes in the room where it happened. Right.
Well, you're in that room.
Yeah. So I found that was like,
that's
surprisingly
actually creepy.
Fascinating. So creepy. I was like drawn in by that. So Zach, if you are listening, you need more of that, because I think there are only 2 or 3 videos. And I wanted more. Like I kept wanting more and more.
I do feel like as long as, we gain traction with this podcast, people like it, I could see eventually having Zach Bagans on. And like, I just kind of had this idea of like, what if he's just really mellow? Like, what if we talk to him and like his actual personality, like as he exists in the world outside of sort of like his Hollywood persona, is just like, it would be very like, I'd be getting ready for a certain personality. What if he's just like, a really chill
dude,
even keeled person? That would be surprising.
It would be a huge surprise. We'll see. We will see. I also love to hear from the tour guides about their own experiences there, which when we asked, they felt very genuine. And then things that they have talked about that have happened to guests on various tours. So they'll say stuff like you'll go into a room and they'll talk about the stuff. And they were like, oh, one time I was in this room, and they'll tell the story. Or they'll say we had a guest come in here once, and, you know, they suffered a situation. Like, I found those to be really cool.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I didn't have any experiences in any of the rooms or feel anything particularly spooky dooky with the items, despite the entire environment being crafted to elicit that reaction in you. And the same with John. So I was incredibly open and inviting for something to happen.
Being skeptical?
No, I wanted something to happen. I was just like, come for me. However, the moment I stopped expecting and I let my guard down, I did have a very real experience.
Wow.
So there is a staircase to the basement in the mansion. You are not allowed to enter it. It's said to be too haunted and dangerous to guests.
Like the basement is?
Yes.
Okay.
So what you should envision is like a staircase down, and then it's like beware or do not enter, like a little sign at the top of the staircase, chandelier at the top, and they stop you outside of the staircase and they talk about why it's so spooky. It was the site of satanic rituals, they say. They really hype it up and they're like, this is our most haunted site. You know, many stories from Bagans and the tour guides about like intense supernatural experiences happening on and around the stairs and in the basement.
Okay.
So I was actually finished with a room that the rest of the tour group was in.
Okay.
And I was the first one to go back to the hallway.
Try to keep things interesting.
Here we go. Okay, well, listen up, people. Here I was talking about my spooky dooky moment, the big climax,
Yeah.
if you will. And all of a sudden, my lights start flickering, and I'm, of course, like losing my juice because I'm like, oh my God, Rachel, this is so funny. This is so weird. This is so cool. Meanwhile, on your end, I've completely frozen. And then my power goes out for, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes. So here we are.
I think it was the spirit. The Holy Spirit working through you.
Right. And knocking out the power for my entire neighborhood. It's that.
You're potent.
That powerful. That's some big potency. I'm trying to remember where I left off, but I think
I can tell you.
I was talking about was I was finished with the room.
Yes.
The rest of the tour group was in, and I was the first one to go back into the hallway, and I was like near the stairs.
Always the constant rebel. You're like
always the rebel, being like always on the go, always 5 steps ahead of everyone else.
What is taking so long?
And let's go. That's me. That's me.
Oh,
let's just get on with this, you know?
Yeah.
So we're waiting for we being me and I guess the spirit, we're waiting for the guide to take us to the next room. And for me, I distinctly remember being detached from, like, I was zoned out, and the atmosphere at that point for me was more entertainment tour. Like, there were more lights, it was brighter. I was out of the whole like haunted mansion vibe for that moment, and I wasn't going in with the intention of like expecting something.
Were you at the end of the tour?
I don't remember.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was like where the basement was.
Yeah. It was just like, I just distinctly recall, like, you know, I was just in Vegas having some fun. Standing. And I think that's important because, like, for me, what stuck out was, okay, I'm going in, trying to see something, feel something, and there's nothing. Then the second I let go is when something came to me. So what happened was I was standing near these stairs,
Mhm.
which is, the most haunted part.
Yeah.
And I, shit you not, saw a bright light zoom up the stairs toward the chandelier on the ceiling.
Oh my. Was the
And
chandelier like behind you, beside you, in front of you? How close was it to you?
I feel like it was off to the front and right because it came up whoop, just like this. Whoop. It was.
So you saw an actual light.
Yes.
What did this ball of light look like?
It was the fastest thing in my life and it just went zoop. I literally was in disbelief.
Well, yeah.
Literally.
I would have been like, I didn't just see that. I did not just see that.
Like my jaw just like dropped and I stiffened and I looked around like rapidly being like, did anyone else just see that? But of course, like nobody else was around because they were like, it was just me. They were still in the thing.
So John was still in the room too?
Yeah. I was just like out there by myself. I don't have time to wait for this man to overthink. He's probably talking to someone. I don't have time for that. He's probably being friendly with strangers. No, I don't have time. I'm going to go stand alone somewhere else.
The dynamic is very similar to me and Carly, except that Carly is the Kim and I'm the John.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So I will just say that it was incredibly real and very unexpected. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that,
what I'm hearing is at that point, you were basically over it. You're like, well, this was a fun afternoon of entertainment. And then
it's not that I was over it. It's just that I was not at all feeling creepy, at all open to anything. I almost felt like I forgot I was even in, like, it was more of just like an entertainment thing.
Right.
At that point.
Any other museum.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Museum of Modern Ties. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Just could have been anything. So after that, I was standing around and just like waiting for the others to join.
Right.
And then I distinctly remember a soft hand or like soft pressure on the back of my calf.
Ooh.
Which, believe it or not, I have felt like multiple times throughout my life.
In the same place?
Occasions. Yeah.
Weird.
It's like none of these have felt like dark or scary to me, but like very gentle, like pressure on my calf. And I felt that before. And like low. Like it's like the hand of a child or something, like really low. Mm. And it's so much that like you look back to see like, what did a cat brush me or like, you know what I mean? So I don't think I made like a big deal out of it when the people came out or even told John like right away, but I did walk the rest of the tour. Like I had like this spooky little secret that I couldn't wait to tell John,
Yeah, that's nuts.
It was exciting that I got to experience something.
Yeah.
Some of the other bigger attractions of the tour were like, I would say they're a bit of a letdown for me overall because I didn't like feel scared by them or like, I don't know. One was the Dybbuk box, which people can read about. And then Peggy the doll, which is supposed to be like haunted. But in the Peggy the doll room, they really build it up, right? Mm-hmm. And you in the room, it's just like Peggy the doll, but they had this loud, insane, random, like speaker recorder thing in the room where it's just like you open the door and it's just like going constantly. Like it was chaos in my brain. And the point is you ask it questions. The tour group will ask it questions. Okay. And sometimes they would shoot answers back at you. Like you'd be able to pull out words or something. Except I thought, okay, they have this like rigged to throw out random words every now and then. But like in actuality, like we didn't get any words on our tour or any vocals from the box at all. So like And we were standing there a long time and trying hard. And I have seen other footage of other tour groups since, like getting stuff. So I feel like that gave me some credibility. Believe it or not, the fact that we didn't get anything, it made me feel like, okay, well, they don't have this thing rigged to shoot out words or whatever. Like other people got it. We didn't experience it at all. So it really lent to like the overall credibility of the room. I don't know how tight it is with this Peggy the doll, but whatever.
What I've been wanting to ask all this time, but I want you to be able to give your kind of like full review and tell your full story. But always going back to how we think of ghosts. Do you believe that items can be haunted? I don't know that I do.
No, I don't think an item can hold something. I think maybe certain places, and not even tied to like, you know, brick and mortar houses or anything, but like certain physical spots on Earth that maybe houses are built around can be particularly haunted. But
or if something very terrible happened in that place, like I believe you can pick up on the energy from the past.
So the serial killer room, do I believe that a psychic could go, or a psychic medium could go into the serial killer room and hold an item that belonged to one of those serial killers and feel or get glimpses of things? Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree that of the things that you described, the items, the serial killer ones, I could understand feeling a dark presence, but not that it was necessarily haunted, just that energy around it is a dark, foreboding sort of energy.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, when we're talking about the validity of things, it's kind of like I still, if we went to Vegas together, or if I ever go to Vegas again without you, I definitely
won't be doing that, by the way. I will be going. So
of course.
let's just
of course.
Put that out of your mind.
Yeah. It's not an option. Like I still intend to go, because it's like what you've made it seem compelling enough to me that I'd be very curious to go. But right out of the gate, I'm just like, items can't be haunted. That's just kind of like right out of the gate. I'm just like, that's not.
Yeah. I feel like maybe the house could have some energy or whatever, but I don't know about the items being haunted. I just know that I feel like you could probably, if you're physically touching them or in the space, get a sense of, you know, a glimpse into that time, energetically speaking. Yeah,
I could see that. I just think like just the terminology they've chosen is a little bit like, did you see a spirit rise from it? You know, like
it was a cool experience. Again, very cool if you're into this stuff, and also like useful if you're not into this stuff and you just want like entertainment, but like off the beaten path, and it might just open you up to something, who knows, but very, very unique experience. And I'm so glad we went. Like it was kind of cool, but I could totally see how some people are like, this is way too, like, do not go in there expecting to have you should go in there expecting to have a really like jacked up entertainment value type of gimmicky experience, and try to look past that if that stuff bothers you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. That is my review of Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum.
What a ride. I do still believe that whatever that big ball of light was, and the child touching your shin,
like my calf, the back of my leg. Yeah. The tibia, if you will.
That's located in your chest.
Yeah.
I feel like that person turned off all your power today. I think happened. Like,
Absolutely.
don't you tell them. And then they use their ball of light to bring that.
Suck all let me tell you, when I was just about to talk about that ball of light and then the lights went off here, I was literally, my sphincter was shaking. It was just quivering.
You're just like, John. People can't see, but my hands are moving to like to mimic the sphincter moving in and out.
It's just quivering sphinx. It's just so scary. And then all the lights went off, all the power went off. And I was like, okay, probably wasn't a ghost. Probably wasn't my spooky story. Whatever. A girl can dream. Yeah. Have you, since we started this, had any spooky dooky moments?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't really frequented new places. Like I've gone to my old haunts as usual. No pun intended. And home always feels like this place that I live with Carly. There's no energy. Like there's not even like good otherworldly energy. It just feels like just a calm place. So yeah, I feel like if I purposely went out to other places, like if I went and decided to do a weekend at Fort Garry, try to experience something. Not that I would do that by myself. I'd shit my pants.
I messaged them, but they didn't write back. So I'm going to follow up with a phone call when they have a bit more time.
What were you asking them?
You know,
they're
asking them if we could reserve room 202.
Oh my God.
I was like, how do I reserve? I'm not asking for a freebie here. I want to reserve room 202. I have complete flexibility. No response. First strike. Fort Garry.
I mean, I imagine lots of people specifically asked to be in that room that like the supernatural stuff. I wonder if it's like,
then they should just write back and say, lots of people ask. We have no availability. Bye. And I'd be like, oh, thank you for the response. I'm indebted to you.
Yeah. Us in Winnipeg, we're just like a little more laid back. You'll get a response at some point.
What are you guys, Italy? France? Whatever.
I see Italy. I see France.
Yeah.
See.
Okay. Well, that concludes our Zach Bagans. I've got some nachos waiting for me downstairs.
I have some Indian food in the fridge I need to heat up.
Yeah.
With Carly not being here, it doesn't matter if it smells of the whole house.
One thing we did want to talk about is asking our delightful audience members if they are interested in sharing their ghost stories with us. So one thing that we really want to do, and that I'm most interested in for sure, is compiling those ghost stories from audience members into an episode. So it's just like Rachel and Kim giving you the intro, and then you get to hear from like 5 or 6 different people telling their spooky dooky stories. And
stories from real people experiencing real spooky dooky shit.
Real humans. I'm so excited. So if you want to do that, you can send us an email at ghostsiguess@gmail.com.
All one word?
All one word, ghostsiguess@gmail.com, or just finding us on Instagram, and you can just DM us. No big deal.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you how to do it.
And hey, like, if you like what you hear, maybe give us a little follow on the social media, or listen, review. What is it? Save. No, there's a way to say it.
Whatever they want to do. Whatever they want to do.
Just support is okay.
We want to hear from you.
Some of you probably know about podcasts and know what I'm talking about. Rate, review, subscribe. There we go. Got it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great.
You could do that. That would be great.
That'd be so great. All right. Well,
enjoy your nachos
once again. Oh, I will.
Peace sign.
Bye.